How's everybody doing? I think that I am live. It looks like it's connecting. Let me just see. Oh, they got new things here. Okay. All right, when you come on, please say hello. Let me know that you're here and where you are watching from. Hang on, I'm just trying to. Okay. All right, so my name is Michaela, and I'm from Paint Fixation in Middleburg, Florida. Welcome to my page. Just to let you know right off the bat that I am dealing with I've got a new contact for being able to see it front up close, but I'm having trouble with that middle stage where I've only had it for like 3 days, so I'm not quite used to it yet. So if you see me squinting or looking weird, that's why. I've got my phone, so I can read comments, but I am having trouble with being able to see the computer. But I'm going to pull my phone up so I can see what you guys are seeing. Hey, Yvonne. Yes, Yvonne's close. Okay, so if you're new to my page, welcome. I'm glad that you're here. I was just doing some crafting this evening, and I realized I have not been on my lives in a while. So I just thought, oh, okay, I'm going to pop in here and let you guys do some crafting with me. So one of the things that I was going to show you is, if you recall, about 3 weeks ago, I did a video on a piece of furniture where I had used some crackle and some sea spray, but I didn't show how, that's funny, how I actually did it. So I'm doing this home sign. Let me show you. I sell these at the shop, and this one just wasn't selling, and I think it's because the letters were dark. Everybody likes white. So I am crackling it. Can you see the crackle on there? I'm hoping that it's in focus. My phone is on a delay, but it crackled really well, and I really like the way it looks. So I'm going to show you the process that I took to do it, okay? After we do that, which this is not going to take long, I'm playing around with, hey Amy, I'm playing around with the new Decopauge papers. I'm not a big decopauger. In fact, I probably have done it twice before. So I'm looking for ideas for maybe a book updating class. And so I'm trying to find some ways to do them. And today I thought I would give it a shot with some of the Decopauge. And I'm kind of liking the way it's looking. This is kind of the beginning stages. And this is what I got so far. So I thought if I've got some minutes, I'll do that with y'all. So I'm going to turn the camera down so that you can see what I'm working on. I'm kind of in a tight space this evening, so I don't have a lot of room to push the camera back. So I'm going to just take the camera and try with my one eye, my one eye. So if you're just popping on, I'm getting used to a contact. And so I can't really see the computer very well, but I can see my phone. It's just a very strange thing, but I think this is going to work better if I do this and do this. Oops, nope, this way. Okay, and it should adjust. Is that going? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to show you the steps. So this one has already been crackled. Okay, this H. And then the O, I know it's missing. I use replaceable reeds. So people have a choice to put whatever they want for their O. Okay, so that goes there. And then what I've done, can you see how shiny that M is? That already has crackle on it. And then the E does not. So I'm going to show you how I put my crackle on. And then I'm going to crackle the M, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the crackle. I use Dixie Belle's crackle. This stuff is amazing. I love it. I have customers come to me that use other companies' crackle. Oh, I forgot a water dish. Darn it. Let me see if I have, hang on. Let me see if I have water in my spray bottle. Where is it? Okay. Well, we're going to wing it. Okay. So, I have customers that leave other companies to use our crackle. It's just, I don't know, it's just the best crackle I've ever used. I very rarely have any trouble with it working. So the first thing you're going to want to do is give this a good stir. Now, I have already done that, so I'm not going to do it again because I've already washed off the thing. But you want to make sure you stir your crackle really well. In fact, all of the products that you do use, you should always mix them very well. So I'm going to show you how I apply it. When you read the jar, it says, okay, so you're going to apply a coat of chalk mineral paint, Dixie Belle's chalk mineral paint, whatever color you want to be on the underneath. So this was already done, and this is like different color browns and some dry brushing. And then it says to let that dry, stir your crackle, and apply. Okay, you don't want to thin it with water, just apply it as it is. Now, the thicker that you apply it, the larger your cracks are going to be, and I want small cracks, so I'm going to do it thinly. Apply another coat of Dixie Belle paint over the crackle. Work quickly, and this is after the crackle is dry. It has to be completely dry. Do not back brush. Now, the do not back brush has to do with the paint when you're painting over the crackle, not when you're applying the crackle. Sometimes people, for whatever reason, get confused about that. You actually want to kind of play with your crackle. Let me get a smaller brush because this is going to be trying to get in this. Okay. All right. So I'm going to come in here with my crackle, and this is it's a thick product. Okay. And I'm just going to start painting it on. Now I'm going to be moving my board around. It's shiny, so I can see what it looks like. Okay. And I'm just going to be moving my board around so that I can see, because there's a glare in here. I have my window open because I'm in Florida and it's absolutely gorgeous today. It was like 90 something 2 days ago, and this morning I woke up and it was 39 degrees. Florida is just schizophrenic. Anyway, so when I put on my crackle, I do cross hatching. I just do all over because I want it to be very random. These edges are going to be kind of tough. I'm not going to worry about putting too much on these edges because you're not going to really see them when it's hanging on the wall. But I'm going to put some on there. And if you have questions, thank you, Betty. Please ask away. So I can answer them, and if I don't see them because I can't see very well right now, then I'll come back and answer them. Okay, I promise. I always do. Okay, so again, and if you can see the shine on this, do you see that shine? You can see where I've stopped and started. Now right here I've got it very thick. Okay, this would give me some very wide cracks, but I don't really want wide cracks on this particular project. There are times when I'll have wide cracks. So I'm just going to thin that out and move it along, okay? And on this one, I want it to cover the entire thing, okay? Sometimes I'll do random spots when I'm working with crackle, but for this, I want it to be the whole thing. I don't know what it is about dark lettering, or dark anything. It's like people just do not, thank you, Yvonne. People do not like color. I sell these at Junk in the Trunk in Fleming Island. I've sold, I don't know, maybe half a dozen of them or so. And I've sold them, you know, just random at home to people. But I've always kind of done light letters. TJ wants to know if she can use crackle over the gray gel stain. I don't see why not. I mean, I'm kind of the kind of person that if I don't know for sure if I can do something, I try it. As long as your gel stain is completely dry and has, you know, done the full, I would probably not do it under 5 days, depending on how thick your gel stain is. But I would try it. If AJ's still on here, she may have already tried it. She could answer if she's tried it. She's kind of the MacGyver of Dixie Belle. She tries everything. And so you can see I'm just kind of getting these sides just a little bit. I'm not really worrying too much about them because they are kind of rugged wood, and so it's going to have a natural crackle. See, I love that I can see this without my glasses. Isn't that great? Except I don't like that I can't see my computer. I'm going tomorrow to pick them up, and I'm going to ask the doctor about, maybe it's a too strong of a prescription. Yeah, so Amy says she doesn't see why it wouldn't work. I don't either. I haven't tried it, but only because, well, I haven't thought about it. But yeah, I think it would work. Now you want to, you want to use paint for your crackle, your top coat. I wouldn't use a gel stain, but as far as the crackle medium is concerned, I don't think it would be a problem at all. Okay, so you've seen me apply this back and forth, as long as it's not dry. You can, smush it. I've actually stippled it before to kind of, when I'm doing, like on this book, I did put some on here, but you can't see it now because I went all over it. But on the book, I was doing sections, and when you do sections, if you stop straight, then your crackle stops suddenly. So I kind of pounce it, like on that piece of furniture that I did. Like if you're just doing a section, instead of stopping straight, I would pounce around it just to kind of give it more of a natural look. Okay? Yeah, I've always called her that, Yvonne. I don't know how she feels about it, but I can't help it. She's the MacGyver. She's the MacGyver of Dixie Belle. She may not like it, but I think it's a term of endearment. And she's never told me to stop calling her that, so I'm assuming it's okay. Okay, I cannot find my water. Y'all, I'm going to pop out just for 2 seconds to put some water in this cup. Hang on, I'll be right back if I don't fall and bust my head open. I don't know how I forgot my water cup. I always have a water cup when I'm painting because I don't want to ruin anything. Oh, good. She loves it. Yay. Okay, so I'm putting my crackle brush in there because I'm done doing that. Now, this one will have to dry. I've heard people say that they like to let it dry for hours before they crackle. I personally have had very good results with letting it dry just within an hour, or sometimes I will even hit it with a hairdryer to speed it up, and I still get very good cracks. So I don't know if it's just I've been lucky. I'm not going to use the hairdryer on this one because we have this one already done. Okay, I did this one the day before yesterday. Okay, my daughter was in a car accident a couple days ago, so she's fine, but her car was totaled, and so we've just have been having to deal with that. Okay. Yeah, so Betty, crackle used to be very popular, but I think that people really just don't know how to use it properly, or they don't understand. You don't have to do big pieces with it. You can do little sections, and it can really give you an aged look in small doses. You don't have to, like I have a cousin that did her entire kitchen in crackle back in the day. It looked good, but I wouldn't do it. Okay, so now I'm going to take my fluff. I'm using Dixie Belle fluff. This is our second to the lightest white. Okay, thank you, Betty. She's fine. It's just, she just was in a car accident. It wasn't her fault either. She was hit by a UPS driver. Thank goodness, because the last time she got in an accident was her fault on the bridge. So at least this time we might actually be able to get her a car. She had to buy our car from us. All my kids, we do hand-me-down cars. Okay, so now this is the important part. When you're using crackle and you're doing your painted top coat, your last color, that is when you want to go in one direction, because if you back brush, you're backing paint into the cracks, and then you're going to lose your cracks. Okay, so it's kind of hard to stop yourself from going back and forth, because that's the way we normally paint. And So, and this one, I'm going to do the edges first because they're a little harder to do in one direction, but not impossible. So it looks like I'm going back and forth, but I'm lifting and pulling, and I'm trying to get on that edge there. I probably could do this off camera. That's not really necessary to do on camera. But I'm going to get this edge right here. Okay. Now, I'm going to do the top, and I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to lift and pull. Lift and pull, okay? I'm not going to go back over it. And all this talk about me having good luck with crackle, watch, it won't crack a single crack. You just watch. That's how my luck has been lately. I don't know, guys. Sometimes I wonder. Okay, it's cracking. It's a cracking. Okay. I don't know if y'all can see it, but it's already cracking up here. And I'm lifting and pulling the paint back down. I'm using a good generous amount on my brush so that I don't have to backstroke. Okay. Oh, Betty, I'm sorry. Is my video freezing? Yeah, this is cracking beautifully, guys. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you see, it's just that easy. Do in one direction and don't backstroke. Now I'm just going to grab these edges real quick. It's harder not to go back and forth on these. And then I will clean up the edges later. I just use my straight edge to peel the paint off of it. Mostly you won't see this because it'll be hanging. Okay, troll alert. Well, if y'all want to delete that troll or block them, can y'all do that? I can't read the whole comment, but I kind of had a feeling. I've been pretty lucky not to have that kind of nonsense on my page, but I definitely don't tolerate it. I have no problem blocking people. It's my page, my business. I run it like I want. So don't be coming on here being mean to my people. I need to block them. Let me see. How do I do that? I'm going to block. I blocked him. He's blocked. People don't have anything better to do. You know? If you're not nice, or if you want to try and sell me something that I don't need, see ya. All right. Oops, I missed this side over here. I'll probably have to get a smaller brush to go to the edges there. Okay, so look at this, guys. You see that? That is some serious crackle. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, so that is how you do crackle. I don't know, maybe it's my internet. I mean, I'm looking on my phone and it's not doing that, so I don't know. So then after that E dries, I'll finish the E, and then it's trying to focus, and then we'll put a little that thing on there, and then we'll be done with that. Okay. Sorry, Betty. Okay. That's that. Now, let me show you what I did on my book. Okay. So I did a little bit of sea spray, which you can't probably see it, but I did this book too. I kind of did opposites in color, and you can see the see the crackle in here. I tried to do crackle, but then I was trying to blend the colors, and it just was a mess. So I might do some crackle after I put my last color on, before my very last color. But I think y'all have seen me do sea spray before, but we'll add a little bit on this just so you can see me use it. Hang on. All right. Oh, and Amy, if you're still here, I did on this. So I used the gemstone mousse here, and I hadn't used it in a while because I've just not had anything to use it on. And I did your little trick of putting some of the top coat in there, just a dab. I just kind of dabbed them together. I didn't mix them. Perfect. Worked perfect. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to take a very little bit. Okay, so here's my paint. I'm just gonna dab a little bit in here, just a very little bit. See that? Okay. And I'm going to get a natural bristle brush. Let me grab one real quick. And I'm not very good about, I've never really done these mixed medium things, but I kind of had fun with it today. Okay, so I'm going to take just a stiff brush, because I like to use these to do my sea spray. And I'm going to mix it in. I just put a little bit on there, maybe half a teaspoon. And I'm going to, it's pretty thick. Can y'all see that? How thick that is? And I'm just going to add some more. This is fluff. And so it'll, when I do this, when I sand back, it's going to be light. But I'm just going to add it in random places to add texture. And I'm only doing this, I'm just showing y'all how I did it earlier, because I've already got some with the red. This is, this color here is Rustic Red by Dixie Belle, and this is Antebellum Blue. And these are just dollar store books. Okay, so we got that. And this dries very quickly with a hairdryer, so I'm going to do that. Okay. And then I used sawmill gravy and French linen on this. So I'm just going to squirt some in my little container here. That sawmill gravy is also from Dixie. All the products I'm using are from Dixie Belle. And I just used both of these just to kind of give some different color. I didn't want it to be completely one color. All right. So I've got my French linen, which is a little, like a grayish taupe. It's got a little bit of a gray background. These are my two favorite colors. You want to see my two favorite colors? Sawmill gravy and French linen. They look beautiful together. I love them. So I'm just going to go over my book with these colors. I'm going to cover up the red. And I chose these colors because they were the colors in the Morocco, what is this thing called? This is the Decopauge Colorful Tiles. This is what I'm using. That's this one right here. These are the new Decopauge papers, which I have never used this kind of paper before. I've only used tissue paper and the Prima ones, but I actually didn't care for those, so that's probably why I haven't done it, because I haven't really found one that I didn't like. And these are kind of idiot proof. I mean, I couldn't believe how easy it was to go on. Now see, I'm just kind of blending these in together very randomly. I'm not worrying about whether or not they're full, well, they're full coverage because they just have the best coverage. But I'm not worried about the crackle because I know that that's not going to work. because I'm back painting on it. I just wasn't thinking when I put it on there. I changed kind of everything I was going to do. And so we got that color on there, so you can see that that's the base of this. Okay. Hey, Diane. Okay, so that's, so you can see you can see the sea spray still through this, and I'm going to show you what happens. I'm going to sand it. But first I'm going to dry it. Sorry, more hair dryer. Okay, so now, what did I do with it? I have a piece of sandpaper somewhere. Here it is. So I have a Surf Prep sander, and so these are the little paper sander things that go on. I'm going to use this to knock it back. This one's a 150. Okay, so now, so I can see the colors underneath. Okay, so I have sea spray with fluff, antebellum blue, and I even did some with the rustic red. Even though the book is red, I wanted to be able to see some of the red through it. So I'm just going to hit it with my sanding pad. Can y'all see that? Okay, so that's giving me another layer of color. All right, so that's the next step that I did. Now I'm going to decoupage these papers. And, oh, Jane, this is Dixie Belle's new Bells and Whistles line. This one is Colorful Tiles. And these retail for $12.95, and there's 3 sheets. There's 2 different sizes. This is the long one, and then there's one that's more square. Let me see. Isn't that pretty? And there's several different kinds. It is a rice paper. I do not have these on my website because I wasn't sure what the availability was going to be. Hey, Kristen! But they, I can order any of the ones that you see. Now what I did was, so let's see which ones I used over here. So on this one I used, okay, good, cool. They're not the same. They don't have any of the same ones. So we're going to just pick, I'm going to do this blue one because I think this is really pretty. And so I'm just going to tear it. I tore it so that it would be really easy to blend it into the book. Okay, so I'm just tearing it along. I'm not concerned about it tearing off part of the other one because that's just going to give it even more character. Okay, I'm not worried about, actually I don't even want straight edges. So I'm thinking I'm going to put that one here. And it'll go between the 2. See, I have these 2 wrapped around. So I'm going to wrap this one around here. So it's going to go here. Okay. Because they're random tiles, they don't have to match up. They don't have to meet up. So that's, I'm going to turn it this way and do it this way. So that straighter edge is over there. Okay, you can see I have part of a tile here. I'm not concerned about that. All right, and now let's see. I really like this one in the middle. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I think on this one I did 2 together. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do 2 here, I think. Or maybe not. Maybe I'll just do 1 on the corner. Let's see. I'll pull 2 off and see what it looks like. And this tears pretty easy. I mean, if I had if you wanted it to be straight, it would be really easy to cut this. But like I said, I'm going for a very jagged look. I don't want it to be straight. Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. It's Dixie Belle rice paper, and this one is called Colorful Tiles. If somebody wants to type that in for her so she can see it, is it my audio is bad? Or is it just because maybe it's because the camera's pointed down or I'm using the software for it? I don't know. Again, it's been a while since I've been live, so, you know, I feel like a new cat at this. I'm just not really, I feel like a new person. It just went away. Uh-oh. Can y'all, uh-oh. Is it still there? Looks like it is. Maybe it's my internet. Okay. I want that one there to cover the spine. So I think I'm going to take this one and put it up here. Okay. And then I'm going to put this one, just a little piece down here, like that. Okay. So I'm going to use satin top coat to decoupage this. Thank you, Kristen. And I have it in my little bottle here. And I'm going to put it in a little cup. I don't need much. I'm just going to put it a little to start and then add it if I need it. Okay, I've got so many brushes over here. So I know about where I want these, so I'm going to just get this is Satin Top Coat, Clear Coat by Dixie Belle. It's one of my favorites. Oh, I don't want to cover that all the way up. I'm going to put this one here so I can I want to be able, here, let me turn this. There we go. So I've got my sea spray here. I don't want to cover it all the way up. So I'm going to just bring this one down just a little bit, like right here. Okay. And I'm going to add my generous amount of satin clear coat. And I'm just going to set it down. And then I'm going to go over it with the clear coat. And I'm going to get that edge really good. Make sure all of my edges are down. I'm not concerned about this being shiny because I am going to be sanding back on this. Okay, so I'm going to let that one sit just for a minute while we work on these. Okay, see how easy this is, guys? Like, I am not a decoupager. Like, this is not my thing. And you wouldn't know it, would you? You would just think I'm an old pro. I'm just kidding. I'm not one to pat myself on the back. Okay, so I'm getting that down there. And I'm going to come around here with some more satin. I'm using a generous amount because I want it to adhere really well. And then I'm just going to go over it. This stuff does not wrinkle. Like, I'm not having any trouble. I just know that every time I've ever tried a decoupage, I feel like all I do is try and get wrinkles out and make sure it's where it needs to be. And hi, LaDonna. And this stuff is just, I'm not having any trouble with it. Okay, so I'm going to only do this one little corner over here. Now, it looks kind of messy, but if you can see on here, I'm going to paint over this so that it looks like the tiles are under the paint. At least in my brain, that's what it looks like. I don't know about what it looks like to everybody else, but to me, that's what it looks like. Going like this. I'm making sure I get my edges. Okay, like that. And then I'm going to take that little piece of sandpaper, if I remember what to do with it. I am just a hot mess tonight. Oh my goodness. See, I wasn't planning on doing a live, and that's why I'm discombobulated. Does anybody know what I did with that? Maybe it's underneath the book. Nope. That's all right. I've got more. I don't know what to do with it. Okay. So I'm going to take this piece of sandpaper and I'm going to just lightly, hey Debbie, I'm going to lightly sand this edge off. And peel it right off. Look at that. Ooh, easy peasy. Okay. And you could even let it run around the edge here, but I am not going to do that. I want the inside of the book to kind of look clean. I'll turn this way so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so you see I made sure I got that edge, and I can go back over that with a little bit more clear coat if I have to, but I didn't have to earlier. And I might even keep this little piece because I'm frugal and I might want to use that for the other book. Now see, I have a little piece right here that was sitting up, so I'm going to just hit it with a little bit more satin. Make sure the edges are done nice and they're sitting down. Sit down, sit down. Okay, so I'm just checking, making sure everything feels like it's on there. Get the edges, seal those off. Okay. All right, hair dry. One more time. Okay, so that's pretty dry, but I'm going to be working around these, so I'm not going to, they'll dry a little bit more. So I'm going to get that stiff brush I was using, and I'm going to dry it off with a paper towel, because I need to reuse it. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit of sea spray to my, just a smidgen. Okay, do you see that? Just a very little bit to my French linen and my, I need more paint, and my French linen and my stone engraving. Oh, the joy of lives. It doesn't want to come out. There it goes. I just needed this little dab. And now I'm just going to go on the edges like this. Do you see? I do have a stencil. Okay, so I'm going to go under here like that. And I'm just going to go over the edges and just kind of blend them into the paint that is already on there. I'm going to get a little bit of the sawmill gravy. Okay, you see how now it's not as flat looking. Is that what I'm trying to go for? Flat? I don't know. And I'm using the sea spray just because it does have that nice texture. I'm not using a whole lot. It just makes it thicker and it just gives it a little bit more. I just kind of like this because to me it's giving the book just layers of texture. I'm not really that concerned about the color of it, making sure Okay, so do you see now how I can't really see my computer because of my contact? But hopefully that looks good. Oh my word. Okay. Okay. So now we have this side, it looks like that. This side is getting there. Okay. All right, so I'm going to dry this again, and then I'm going to sand it. All right, so now I'm going to sand a little bit and just bring some of that paint off, and I'm going to rough up the stencils a little bit. So if you can see as I'm doing that, would it be better if this was brighter? I can't. Y'all just need to let me know because is that better? Okay. So I'm going to rough it up some more, and this just makes everything look like it's aged. Okay. And the sanding actually does help blend in. See how that just looks like it's tiles? That one's a little crooked, but that's all right. I started this project thinking it might be something fun to do for a class, but now I'm wondering if it's just too much. All right, so then I'm also going to take the edge of this and just kind of hit this with a little bit harder so that you can see the color of the book underneath there. And this book was actually black or blue, black, I think. I painted it first, the rest of it. Okay. All right. Now, wipe my face, my shirt off. Okay, so now I'm going to use the Dixie Belle's Moroccan stencil. This is what the package looks like. Okay. And it is 16 by 20 inches. It's a nice, large. Obviously, I don't need the whole thing, but I wanted this one because it has that same Moroccan vibe to it. Okay, so I'm going to use. I have a little bit of my satin clear coat left, and I'm going to use the amber gemstone mousse. Is that gonna focus on that? The autofocus sometimes is wonky. I've already taken this and stirred it really well, but because it's been a hot minute, I'm going to stir it again. That's very important when you're using any of the products. I mean, and this one was very thick earlier because I had not used it in a while, and I added a little bit of filtered water to it, maybe half a teaspoon, and was able to thin it out and get it to be much more not so thick, better viscosity. Okay, I'm actually going to use what's on my brush again because I am frugal. And this is what I did. So Amy showed us that one of the ways, I have never had a problem with my mousse smearing because I use very, very, very little. But I wanted to try this to see what all the fuss was about. And it works so good. So I'm going to take the mousse right off of the end of my paintbrush. And this is going to be too much, but I'm just going to take it and I'm going to smear it into just a little tiny bit of the top coat. So you can see that the majority of it is still down there. I don't, I do measurements like my grandmother. A pinch of this, a smidge of that, a smidge of that. Okay, so it's just not very much. And I'm going to just dab it off on my paper here. See? And then I'm going to hold this down. I'm just going to kind of place it wherever I think I want it. I'm not going to use adhesive because I'm just going to eyeball it. And I'm just going to pounce it where I want it. I am not looking for full coverage. I want this to be aged looking. So I'm not looking for crisp color. I'm just looking for a little bit on the edges, okay? I'm going to turn the book, and I'm going to do a little bit on this corner. And I'm going to do I think I'm going to do this part. Let's see, I'll turn this. All right. And I'm just going to get back in that brush, that little bit that I have in there. And I'm going to smush it. And then I'm just going to kind of fade it out just a little bit. I don't want it to be a perfect line. So I'm just going to kind of fade it out some. Just like that. You see? How about that? And then on this side, I did some French writing. I actually did another little stencil with the Midnight Sky, but I'm not too fond of it, so I'm going to not do that. So what I'm going to do is, actually that was with the zinc. Well, zinc is one of my favorites, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use this French writing that I got from, I don't know, Walmart or something. And this is already starting to dry, guys, okay? Like there's hardly anything on my finger. Like it's not smudging. I don't know what to tell you. I just never have problems with it. So I'm going to take, and on this side, I used the Midnight Sky for the words, and I used the zinc for this. So I'm going to use the Midnight Sky again for this, just to keep everything consistent. I really didn't like the dark print, but I don't want it to be different. I want it to be the same. So I'm just going to go in this corner here, because we have two open areas. I'm going to overlap the tile just a smidgen. There's no right or wrong way to do this, of course. This is just the way I'm doing it. And on this one, I'm going to do this. Because I get so tired of pouncing. And I don't care if this is messy looking or not full coverage, because again, I'm not going for that look. I'm going for old. And see, I messed it up right there. That's all right, because I'm going to sand this, and so that won't even look like, it will look fine. Okay, and so now I'm going to this is in French. Nobody cares at all what it says. So I can just use random sections of it. And now I'm just going to go across this other open spot. is a new brush, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's just a cheap brush I got on sale. I don't even remember where I got it from. I think I got it when Doris was going out of business. So what is everybody working on? Is anybody, okay, what's everybody doing for Easter? Easter. I am going to a Latin Mass on Sunday at the Catholic church that I attend. They have a Latin Mass the first Sunday of every month, first Sunday, and it just happens to fall on Easter this year. So we get to go to a Latin sung Mass. I'm so excited. I think it's going to be really cool. Okay, so now we have our words. See, we're just layering and layering and layering. Okay, and then after Mass, we're going to go to my aunt's. We're going to have ham and potato salad, and my grandmother, bless her heart, she we have this traditional Easter cake. I do keto, but my aunt said I have to eat it, and it's like a lemon custard cake. It's delicious. So I'm going to try this just a little bit so that I can do one more standing and then we'll be done. Oh wait, I got to do black wax. Okay. And this is already dry. So now, okay, I'm going to sand back over everything. Okay, especially this word right here because they got smushed. So I'm just going to hit them with this. And every time you sand, you're bringing back some of that crunchy goodness from the sea spray. All right, now, so this is the front, I think. I really don't even know what part. It's upside down. The book is upside down. Oh well, it doesn't matter. I just realized that I did it upside down. The book is upside down. I don't even know what this book is. It's a dollar store book. Oh, David Baldacci. Actually, this is probably a pretty good book, so I might actually read it. Okay, so I'm going to get some black wax, and I'm just going to grunge up the corners a little bit, and then it'll be done. Just like that. So I'm going to put a little bit on my this is the Dixie Belle French tip brush. I think this one I cut off, though, to make it more flat. First, I don't know, I was doing something and I needed it flat. Okay, so I'm just going to take it and go over these corners a little bit and soften them up a little bit. And then take my finger and rub it in. And I think this just kind of gives the appearance of a well-loved book. Lots of fingers touching it, you know, sitting on the shelf, catching dust. So we've taken a brand new Dollar Tree. This book was $1. I could not believe it. Somebody was telling me about the Dollar Tree books. That's a game changer because they're new. They don't have any musty smell, and they're the same price as a thrift store. Plus, they actually had some pretty good books. I like this author. All right. So, guys, that is it. Let me, hey, it's me. So, look at this. How cool is that? You can see the shimmer of the mousse. And if you can see it up close, you would be able to see all the textures. Yeah, Yvonne, this was a very impromptu live, so I don't have anything to do giveaways, but I do need to come back on here. I need to get myself back in order, okay? I need to get more disciplined. Life just keeps throwing me just all this stuff. I just don't don't understand. I know it's a good thing in the end, but thank you, TJ. Yes. So what do y'all think? Do you think this is too much for a class, even if we just did just one book? The only thing I'm worried about is like the hair dryer, like having to dry each step, even though it only takes a few seconds. I'm not sure I really want to do a book class, but I'm testing different modeling. I'm also wanting to do molds on books, and today I tested a new one that it's called DAS, D-A-S, but it takes several days to dry, so I'll have to make these ahead of time, but I did get some pretty good details in it. I have some that are made. Oh, thank you. I have some of these that are made with resin, and then I also tried the Paint Pixie dough, but I'm not a huge fan. They're nice and light. Do I have any over here? I have some that I pre-made to just, I'm testing things out. So this one's resin, so this is nice and hard. Here they are. Okay. So you can see how light they are. I like the flowers, but the leaves, like when I was trying to place them on here, it wanted to break. Form Flex. So Diane, is the Form Flex, I don't like marshmallows. I'm thinking maybe I'm having an aversion. I know this is going to sound really stupid, but you know how some people are tactile? The feel of this kind of creeps me out a little bit. It's like, I don't know. Can y'all hear that? I mean, and the detail on them is not, like the leaves, the flowers look pretty good. Like this flower, there's good detail on that flower, surprisingly. It's not that, but I'm just wondering if, oh gosh, if we have like, 20 people in the class, are we going to blow the circuit? I guess everybody's not going to be using their hair dryers at the same time, are they? Because I just did a class doing the barn quilts, and trust me, people do not do things in the same pace. That's pretty funny. So the resin, I think, give a much better detail, but resin's expensive. And again, I'd have to do that ahead of time because it wouldn't be feasible. So Diane, I'm gonna look into that Form Flex. So it's not, is it light? Is it, and when you're using it, is it, the other thing that I did not like about the pixie dough is that, so on these leaves, while it was wet, when the leaves would touch each other, like while I was getting it together, it stuck to itself. Like, I mean, and I was having like this one stuck to itself, and it just, I don't know. It's probably just me. I had heard good things about it. I did this one. This one is also with the pixie dough, but I want to show y'all how easy. So that just, oh look, it's not going to crack just because I'm doing this. But look, it tears so easily, and I'm sure that could be easily glued back together. I have no problem with gluing molds back together, but I can just see someone in a class going, my mold cracked. What am I supposed to do? Help. And then you have to handhold. Okay. Well, I'm loving my book. I could do that, Yvonne. So I am going to be scheduling a class. If there's anybody local watching, you should come. But I like this. And it's so funny because when I saw this paper, these colorful tiles, I was like, I don't think that's really my style, but I like it. She loves it. Okay, so Diane, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna get some. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. It's almost dinner time, and I haven't fixed dinner, so I'm gonna let you go. But thank you so much for watching. If you're catching me on the replay, you can still share this video. If you don't already like or follow me at Paint Fixation, please do. It helps my small business. And everybody that watches this, I'm always very appreciative of you. You make my day. You surely do. Good night, everybody. Take care and happy Easter.